So I've been asked a couple of times about the process or the operation of setting up my bandsaw mill is SMG. A lot of people, especially American friends, are not so familiar. This is made in Quebec, Canada, and it's an all welded frame. And I mean, they're not the easiest guys to talk to on the phone. Quite honestly, I've tried a few times. Their distributor here in Nova Scotia, down in Digby, is really a great guy, and the one in New Brunswick's a great guy, and a few other ones. But at the head company, not so much. But then again, they weren't that nice at Norwood either, and I dealt with them. The Alaskan mill guys were awesome. But anyway, all that aside, they built a great mill. The mill is wonderful construction. I've been using it for a decade. It's starting to show a little bit of its wear and tear, but it still works wonderfully. I've had to change a few bearings, and I mean, that looks like a real old rusty blade on there, but it's not. It just rained last night. I put it on the end of the day yesterday, so I'll still saw with that. I got to saw a couple of logs, but anyway, the setup is easy. I mean, when I'm not using it, or there's a bolt hole here at the end, I put a bolt in here. There's one on either side. I only use one. Now, when you're traveling it and you're using there's a set of fenders. I'll be damned if I know where they are right now, because I haven't used them I don't trailer anymore for anybody. If they want their log side, I bring them here. It's not worth the trouble to me. And most people are not appreciative of your efforts. Some guys are really appreciative, but some are it's just not worth your effort. So if you're going to trailer it, you put it up here over the wheels. Makes sense. And there's a bolt hole on either side to bolt the head in, so it doesn't move when you're transporting it. And they actually sell it to you with a light kit that goes on the back, but it straps on the back. The strapping system that I got with this one 10 years ago is shite. The newer ones are better. They come with a clamping system, and but I've never used it. I told this all the time. I don't put lights on the back, so that's against the law here too. But it's not recommended. But I don't bring it far, and I do it. But if you're traveling any distance or going out on the highway, or you probably should use it. Do as I say, not as I do, type thing. But anyway, so they do sell you a lights kit with it, with the trailer kit. If you get one with the trailer kit, and it's usually inspected and ready for the road if that's required in your area, which it is here. So, and I mean, there's not much to it. So if you're going to trailer it and move it, you put it here. So, but when I'm using it, most of the time I leave it at the back, because up here it's not in a good position for operating. It rolls very easily. I've never, in 10 years, I can't tell you how many thousands and hundreds of thousands of times this head has gone back and forth, and I have never changed these bearings out down here. Now, the bearings inside here for the flywheels, for these, you can't see them, but there's flywheels in here that the bandsaw rides on. I have changed those. I've changed this one out here a dozen times. This one here 6 times. There's 2 in each one, but they're easily available at any local hardware store. You don't have to buy them from you can't get them from SMG. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them anywhere. I've never done anything with the garage door setup, I've had to adjust this a couple of times in here, but very minor. The dogs for inside of these things, this one here I've changed a dozen times. I don't know why. That one there I've changed twice. That one, and they're the same setup. I don't know why. I use this one way more. Maybe that's why this one doesn't get enough use and it breaks out. But they're easy to change. You back off the bolts, you take out these 2 bolts, you put a new piece in there, and it's a little Teflon piece. So anyway, I back it up. I want to load on a log. I put my stands up the desired height. I could probably have them a little higher than that right now, but for demonstration purposes, I've done a video on the log loader already, but I don't cut and drag my own logs anymore. I try not to buy logs that are dragged. These were given to me. A fella came and laid them on my bunk. I have a bunk system, and so I pull out my roughed up 4x4s. They actually have a notch cut in each end, which I'm not using right now, but anyway, so that it goes on the end of the track here and doesn't slip. If I'm using a great big log or something I'm going to shimmy around, I do make sure I use that groove, but other than that, it's not that important. And then sometimes I have to use my PV hook or cant hook. The still, the plug for still, this is a great PV hook. I got a bunch of wood ones and everything else, and some of them are older. I'm afraid to put a lot of pressure on them because I'm afraid you're going to break and stab me. This thing is strong as hell. Like, anyway, so once I get that pulled out, I can just grab my log and I'll do this with one hand, but anyway, it should roll. Something underneath it. Okay, just roll it out like so. Uh-oh. Wormholes. I hate to see that. Anyway, this is a 10 or 11 inch dog, and you can roll it on pretty easy like that, one hand. While you're filming, that's how simple it is. These go back in. You can see they're self-retracting. Everything is automated. Automation is called Jeff. That's and you put the dog in place, and it's ready to saw, more or less. So back here on the sawmill, you have a ruler. If you want to check your ruler, bring it all the way to the bottom. And if that little thing lines up on all the ones, it's good. Because every once in a while this will get bent or whatever. And if it bottoms out and it's all on the 1 inch, you're good. You're good to go. I mean, this thing is not laser accurate. It's a bandsaw mill, so if it's there is some variation, but it's very good. If it's a cold start, the only thing I hate about this, if it's a cold start, or it's in the winter, it's still choking or whatever, the engine's running a bit rough, this vibrates. And once it's warmed up and running smooth, it doesn't do that, but it vibrates, and sometimes I got to touch it. It's a little bit of a nuisance, but it's not a big deal, and it doesn't do that for very long. So just sometimes on cold start. So then you roll it up, you bring it into your log, and you raise it to the, I'm going to take my first cut here. I was hoping to get 10-inch boards out of it, but obviously that's not going to happen because my first slab is at 10 inches. So you can, here's the size of the log. It's 11 5/8. Give or take an eighth. So we'll take her in at 10 inches. And I don't have to do that exactly. I need 2 hands. And so to lock it in place when you got the desired height, that's all you do. Now every once in a while you have to loosen this collar, move it in, to give it a little bit more pressure. It does come loose from time to time, but overall it hasn't been a big deal. So I just got to hold this wheel in place, lock that in. Here's your throttle. It's a Honda engine. It starts like all of them. It's 30 degrees outside. You still got to choke the bastard. So put the choke on. It's electric start, and we'll make a cut. So your water control is here on the SMG. And looks like I'm low on water. I got a little sight glass here. No, there we go. There's a bit of water there. And so, not much, enough to make this cut. But anyway, so your water control is here. For years, I've been meaning to get rid of this valve here, because I don't know why there's a shut off here and a shut off here. It came this way. This thing is a pain in the ass, and in the wintertime, it tends to freeze here. Now, I'll use antifreeze and this and that, but if I'm going to have trouble with a stick or a rock or something plugging it, or it's here. So I've been meaning to put a 90-degree brass fitting here and just put this pipe into that and just have the ball valve. So anyway, the new ones don't have this. They have an automatic, when you hit the throttle, this is the throttle, of course. When you hit the throttle, it opens the water automatically. I don't like their system. The hose is too small. I've seen people, the orifice is too small, they plug up. They say you're supposed to put clean water in here, but you're not always somewhere where you can do that if you got a portable sawmill. So anyway, this system works good, and I can adjust it and put it the speed I want, where the other one is always flowing full flow when you hit the throttle. And for some woods like oak, or if you don't want water on it or whatever, you don't want full flow. So you got to turn it off with another valve. And anyway, to each their own. So then you turn the water on. Once you get going, don't need it just yet. Throttle, all the way on. Back off halfway for the first cut, like every Honda. Once I go full throttle, I can back it off all the way, but I'll leave it there for now. Water on, hit the throttle. Now, honestly, let's see if I can do that again. There we go. Honestly, that blade is duller than I like, so I will be changing that out. But some of this wood was skidded. I might have hit some rocks. And I had a brand new Lennox blade on it the other day, which was cutting great, but this is a resharpened blade. They don't last as long. So anyway, that's the basic operation. If you've got a wider log, this here does adjust by this wheel here, I should have mentioned. So just turn it in and out. And of course, that's just, wheel is just there to stabilize the blade as it's going through. Things I don't like about the mill. I mean, overall, the thing works very well. Things I don't like about the mill. A lot of mills, and I guess I could have put one here, have a little piece in here, right here, that wipes the blade. This one does not, and for the most part, it doesn't bother. It doesn't really bother anything. But I think it would have been a nice addition. I haven't seen it on any of them. The other thing about the mill I've had some trouble with, but not much. This handle. Now this handle is perfect. Oh, nice cut. Dull, but it's nice and straight anyway. Nice smooth cut, nice spruce. Don't see any holes in it anyway. So it's for the log roller in the back. So you pull up on this handle and up come the set of rollers, and they work very well. You take your PV hook or your cant hook, whatever you're using. I usually use a cant hook, but I don't see it right now. And if the log is a bigger log and it's just against the post, it struggles against the post. It'll push the post down, but you can see I kind of can't miss it, but it does roll against it, and it does help it, and they work well. And then when you're done, okay, so you don't hit it, you put it back down. Oops, hit a piece of bark there. And put it back down. Now, if you're not paying attention, okay, and when you put this down, it has happened. You can see the blade marks in it. I've hit it probably a dozen times over the last 10 years. It does happen on occasion, the way that it's working. If a piece of bark comes off and goes underneath here, okay, or like a piece of bark is kind of here right now, a piece of wood falls down and goes underneath here, it's happened. It doesn't go all the way down. And when this part doesn't go all the way down, because especially it happens here mostly, something gets under here, a piece of bark usually gets under where my finger is, okay? That means this handle is not all the way down, okay? As you can see, like that. And that's all it takes to hit it. Now, if they had just, and I could have repaired this myself by just probably cutting a V out of here and angling it down more, because it doesn't need to be up at all. So if it's down, you won't hit it. You miss it by a 1/4 inch or better, like, you know, plenty. But this could have been on a different angle where it doesn't, when it's down, it's not up. It'd be level with the track or lower. So that was a bad idea. The sticks that came with this here, this is supposed to be to clean the track. Now I drilled holes in this, put cotton in there and put oil in it, and it oils the track when I'm running it. There's no oil in it right now, but I do use it a lot. I made these myself. The ones that came with it are shite. For the longer wood, there should have been another dog here, and I am actually going to put one here because I got, for the most part, I cut 8-foot stuff, so it has been an issue. If I cut 10-foot stuff or 12-foot stuff, I just move it back that way. But if you're cutting 16-foot stuff and you got to come all the way up, or 17, I cut 17.3 on this. I got to come all the way to the end. There's no dog right here for when you're fletching, and there's no post here. And that was a big oversight. There should have been another dog here on this model with another post. Again, easily fixable, but you know, I would have gave them an extra $200 or $300. I paid $15,000 for the machine 10 years ago. I would have gave you $200 or $300 extra dollars or whatever it was to put that there at the time. And there's 4 jacks on it, or V jacks. They're original. I've had no issue with them. The design is good for the most part, except this one. You can see the handle here and the handle there. So if you want to jack this up and down, and this, and I can't tell you how many times I've knocked my knuckles here, because when you move this handle, if this is in, you hit it. There's no way. I'm not even going to bother. So you have to take that handle out to use this jack. They could have moved this back 3 inches and moved this one back 3 inches, and you would have missed it, and you'd never knock your knuckles. And the last model I seen, one of the newer ones, it was still like that. So some engineer somewhere is an asshole. And there's a post here, which is fine, because when the head's all the way back, like back here, doesn't really matter, because now you can extend the mill. You can put pieces in, you can extend this as long as you want. Okay? But as it sits, when it comes, you can only start cutting here, right? Now, I think that this bunk should have been back where the legs are, and these legs should have been back over here. And it would have made more sense. Had this back a little bit, so you still get your 4-foot cut. Move that one back, and then put another dog and a post up in the middle. Now, I'm nitpicking a little bit there, because 90% of the cuts you make, that doesn't matter. Probably more than that, probably 95 or 97%, that does not matter. But when it does matter, it's annoying as hell. If you're trying to cut something 17.3 on this, it matters. And you just got to go slower. You can do it. It's not a big issue. When you're cutting this here, this is 8'3". It's beautiful. It's sexy. When you go 10 foot or 12 foot, it works great. When you go over 12 foot, the mill is not set up properly. So now if you're cutting, that's if you're cutting boards. Now if you're cutting 2x6s or 4x4s or 6x6s or 8x8s, you're cutting posts, it doesn't matter. It'll cut them all day long. It doesn't matter. These things I'm talking about only matter when you're trying to fletch or cut, 1-inch board, like 1-inch boards or smaller. Or 2x4s. So I don't cut a lot of 2x4s unless they're for me. I don't cut them for anybody else. Like, just go to the hardware store. It's not worth my time to mess with it. They're cheap enough, especially, they got expensive there over COVID, but, I don't mess with them anymore. So anyway, that's the use and operation of the SMG in a nutshell. I think I got it all. Changing the blade out is very, very simple. You loosen this one here, you loosen another one over there. The whole front comes off, and it's just, there's no bolts down here. You loosen 1, 2, 3, 4 nuts here. I should mention before you saw, now I got it backed off again, but before you saw, you put tension on it, okay? And when you're finished, you release tension. Now, technically, there's tension on the blade all the time, because when you put it on, you do tension the blade when you install it. So technically, if you forget to do this when you saw it, and I think I might have just forgot when I saw that, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Not really. If you're sawing a lot, it does. But there is tension on the blade. And we set it to 50 bar, okay, which is 500 pounds or so, 14 to 750 pounds. So after I put the blade on, I tighten it. So the blade is always tensioned. But before I usually bring this up to 50, okay, You can't read the yellow anymore. Okay, it might be 1,000 pounds, 800 pounds. I can't recall. Anyway, you put tension on it, you saw, and then when you're done, you release the tension. You're going to change the blade. You more than release tension. You loosen this out 3 or 4 turns, and when you loosen the bolts in there, it pulls out, and then the blade just falls off. To change the blade on this is 4 minutes, 5 minutes tops. Like it's very quick, so it's good that way. But anyway, if you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. And if you're interested, I mean, I'm not getting a cent for this. I have no affiliation with them that way, but it is a good product. There they are there. And like I say, the guys at the head office, when I talked to them years ago, they were not the friendliest. Probably because they're, I don't know, used to dealing with their dealers more. But their dealers that I've dealt with have been the guy, Mike in Digby, Mike Warner, shout out to him. Phenomenal guy to work with. If you can't get along with him, you're a complete asshole. Wonderful fella, easy going, knows his stuff, and he's a great guy to deal with. So anyway, I hope that answers everybody's questions. Cheers.